Welcome into New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. And in today's show, we've got a Giants Rumors Mailbag where I answer your questions live, which aired from our live show every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. But shout out to Aura for being the presenting sponsor of today's show. An all-in-one digital safety tool. Get started with them today. Aura.com/chatsports. They'll hook you up with a 14-day free trial. Michael Kraus, what up, man? Other than Kayvon and Neal, can any other 2022 draftees be a Pro Bowler in 5 years? Wow. That's a good question. I appreciate that. Look, I hope Kayvon and Evan Neal can be Pro Bowlers within 5 years. But what about a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson? A pick that a lot of Giants fans were not a fan of when he was selected in the second round of the NFL draft. I think he has potential to be a playmaker in the NFL and be a guy that's just a generator with the football. What he did at Kentucky was impressive. He was one of the best deep threats in the country, and he was also one of the best yak getters in the country. And I think he's going to fit perfectly into this hybrid system of Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka. One, it's going to be a system where they run a lot of spread formations, where they use receivers in space, speed and space, where they get players the football and they let them operate and try to create a lot after the catch. I think that really benefits a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't expect him to be a Pro Bowler rookie year, but maybe by year 3, year 4, he can be one of the best Giants receivers and hopefully be one of the best receivers in the NFL. Great question, though, Michael. Rudy, my guy, new to the channel, already being an MVP. Let's ride. Any rookies on the team you think is overrated and potentially will be a disappointment? That's a good question. I don't know if anybody is overrated. I wouldn't say overrated. We haven't seen them actually play football. Until I see them strap up and get on the field in the preseason or the regular season, I think it's too soon to say they're overrated or potentially be a disappointment. But could a guy like Cordell Flott struggle to find his way early on in his NFL career? He's a little lightweight, so he may take some time to put some muscle on. Good question, Rudy, but I don't know if I have enough information exactly to answer it yet. But I'll go out there and say maybe Cordell Flott's the guy that struggles early on and maybe takes a little while to find his groove in the NFL. Appreciate it, though, bro. Danny Pennies, what up, man? Should the Giants have just tore it all the way down this year instead of giving Daniel Jones and Saquon another year? That's a fair question. What you mean by that, I assume, let me know in the comment section if I'm wrong. If you just mean they should have cut bait with a guy like Daniel Jones prior to this year, they should have just traded Saquon Barkley and maybe drafted a quarterback in the first round or traded for future first-round picks. I think that's a fair assumption, but I also think that this might have come from management, and John Mara might have said, you know what, we need to see more from Daniel Jones, because we've heard him say, we've done everything in our power to screw this kid up. I don't think Mara was ready to cut bait on DJ. He wanted to see him with an innovative offensive mind. And he's got 2 in the building now with Kafka and Daboll. Could the Giants have tore it down last year? Sure. I think it would have been a kickstart on a rebuild, and you probably would have been in a better position to draft a quarterback in the 2023 draft. But should they have? I'm not sure. I like what the Giants are doing right now, and I trust Joe Schoen to get it right. But I'll ask you this question since you talked about him. Who's going to be back with the Giants next year? Both of these guys are on the last year of their rookie deals. If they're going to be back, the Giants are going to have to give them extensions. So let me know. Who do you think is more likely to be back with the New York Giants next year? Is it Daniel Jones, type 8? Or if you think Saquon Barkley will be back over Daniel Jones, you can go down and type 26 in the comment section right now. King Wolf, what up, man? If Daniel Jones fails, where do you think he'll end up? Team Tyler Van Dyke. That's the quarterback out of Miami, right? Yeah. Okay, you're Team Van Dyke. As long as we're not Team Will Levis, the guy that puts mayonnaise in his coffee and eats his bananas with the peels on, we're cool. I don't know where he'll end up, but I think he will get a job as a backup quarterback. I could see Daniel Jones being a long-term backup QB in the NFL. Yeah, kind of like the Mitchell Trubisky route, as my producer tells me in my ear. I don't know, though, if 1 year as a backup will get it done for Daniel Jones to be a starter again. But we do know that Daniel Jones is one of the smartest QBs in the NFL. Davis Webb has said that. And sometimes as a backup, all you have to do is know the X's and O's. You don't really have to be that great at actually playing quarterback. Shout out to I'm blanking on the name. What's the backup quarterback from Missouri that's been all over? Is it Chase Daniels? Chase Daniels, yes. He's made a whole lot of money. Daniel, excuse me. He's made a whole lot of money in the NFL. I could see Danny Dimes being a backup quarterback for a very long time. But where? That's tough. I'm not sure I can give an educated answer on that. But if he doesn't play good, I can guarantee you this. He won't be on the Giants next year. If you haven't yet, get hooked up with our presenting sponsor, Aura. Keep your identity secure with extensive monitoring of your personal info. And get started with a 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. You can get near real-time alerts on suspicious credit inquiries. And I should have done that. I was sleeping. I thought, you know what? I couldn't be the guy that gets hacked and gets their information stolen by the hacksters. Silly me. They did that. They spent $700 in a store in Oregon that I've never heard of. But now I got hooked up with Aura, and I've been good to go ever since. So do the same. Get started with the 14-day free trial at aura.com/chatsports. The Hammy, what up, man? I like your picture. Do you think Tibbs will get a sack a game? I saw him say that. He was asked about what he was expecting out of his rookie year. And he said, if I can get a sack every single game, I'd be feeling good. If Kayvon Thibodeau has 17 sacks to end his rookie season, I might have to get a Kayvon Thibodeau tattoo because that man is going to be an absolute beast. Do I think he has 17 sacks his rookie season? No. But can I hope for double digits? I think that's fair. Appreciate your question, bro. Chris Jones, 22. What are the chances of Kadarius Toney being the Giants wide receiver 1 this year? 100%. I think he should be and needs to be. I like Kenny Golladay, but I think the way this offense is moving and the way the NFL is moving, the 6'4" outside wide receiver that has a limited route tree is no longer going to be the guy that he used to be in the NFL. That's what Golladay is. Kadarius Toney, he can play in the slot. He can play in the backfield. He can line up out wide. I think he's kind of a hybrid of Tyreek Hill and Deebo Samuel. I'm expecting Kadarius Toney to get carries this year. How much? I don't know. But I want to say this about Toney. I feel like his inability to produce was due to the coaching staff and the fact that he really didn't play all that much last year. Let's look at the stats. In week 1, he played 8% of the snaps. In week 2, 28% of the snaps. Week 3 started to get more involved, 66% of the snaps. And then in week 4, he settled in and found his groove. 6 catches, 78 yards, played almost 80% of the snaps. And then in week 5, he had one of the best games a rookie wide receiver has ever had. 10 grabs for 189 yards with Mike Glennon at the helm. And the snap count started to go down. 8 snaps in week 6, 50% pretty much the rest of the way. Kadarius Toney needs to be a focal point of this offense. You made him a selection with a premium pick and a first-round pick. Yes, it wasn't Joe Schoen, but that's the hand you got dealt. Toney has all the talent to be one of the best receivers in the NFL. I think it was the lack of wanting to get him involved, the lack of finding ways to make him an effective weapon last year that hurt him, but I don't think that's going to be the problem this year with Kafka and Daboll at the helm. I think they're going to do everything possible to get the ball in the hands of Toney and find out what he can be as a playmaker in the NFL. So let's set the benchmark at 8 touchdowns. Let's play a little game of over and under. 8 TDs for Kadarius Toney next year. Type O for over if you think he scores more than 8 TDs. Or if you think he scores less than 8 TDs, you can go down in the comment section, type U for under. I think 8 is a good number. I think that's where I'd like to see him sit. Last year he didn't score any. I think 8 is a good number. He might be right at that. But I'll leave the question to you. Type O for over, type U for under. Ty, what up, man? What do you think of Jimmy Johnson saying with Brian Daboll the Giants are in a good spot? I think the Giants are in a good spot with Brian Daboll. I saw what Jimmy Johnson had to say about him. I think this is the best head coach the Giants have had since Tom Coughlin. Benny McAdoo, get out of here. Pat Shurmur, get out of here. Joe Judge, we'll see you later. Brian Daboll is a legit NFL coach. He was one of the best offensive coordinators the past couple of years in the NFL. We saw what he did with Josh Allen. That doesn't mean he's going to do that with Daniel Jones, but can he get the absolute best and squeeze the most juice out of Daniel Jones as possible? I think he can do so. I think the Giants have a plan, they have a vision, and they have the people in authoritative positions to lead that charge. I like Daboll. I like Kafka. I like Wink Martindale, and I am a big fan of Joe Schoen. For the first time in a while, I actually do trust that this Giants regime is going to get it right. That's what Jimmy Johnson was saying. I appreciate your question, Ty. Philly Bowl, New York Giant. We got a Philly fan or a Giants fan from Philly. Giants seem thin at wide receiver. Should they sign him? Well, let's see. Sign Will Fuller, excuse me. I was seeing my tweet deck. I saw some news around the New York Knicks and DeJounte Murray. That caught me off guard. But yeah, I think the Giants could go out and use a wide receiver. Should it be Will Fuller, though? I'm not too sold on Will Fuller. He has been one of the most polarizing wide receivers in NFL history. When he's on the field and when he's healthy, he's great. No doubt about it. Him and Deshaun Watson were one of the best duos in the NFL. He's played in 55 games in his NFL career, but he's also missed, drum roll, 58 games in his NFL career. He's played less than 50% of his games. Is he fast? Is he a deep threat? No doubt about it. But I would like to steal this line from my producer, Matthew Peterson. The best ability is availability. And if you've missed already 58 games in your young NFL career, I can't count on you, especially when you look at the Giants wide receiver depth chart and see that there's a lot of players on this depth chart that are injury prone. And Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, those guys have all missed significant time for being hurt. So no, I don't really think it makes all that much sense to go out and sign Will Fuller. Is he a good football player? Yes. Do the Giants need to sign another wide receiver? Yes. Do they need to sign one that's missed 58 games in his NFL career? No. I really think it is that simple. His talent's there. His availability is sketchy at best. So I would type N in the comment section for no. I would not sign Will Fuller, no matter the price tag. If it was a veteran minimum or something else, I think you would just be taking away the reps in the offseason from somebody that's actually going to be playing in the regular season. But I'll ask you this question. Type Y for yes, or you're not, type N for no for sign Will Fuller. Last question from my guy, Enifel0911. If I said that wrong, shame on me. I'm a loser. Giants have been horrible at being on the ball fast. We'll need to use if we use motion. Need time to run motion and read defense. I'm expecting this Giants offense under Brian Daboll and Mike Kafka to look way different than any Giants offense I think I've ever seen in my Giants life. We're going to see a whole bunch of sets with 4 wide receivers out there, no tight ends, and Daniel Jones and a running back in the backfield. That hasn't been a thing in the past. We've seen the Giants do a lot of 2 running back systems with a running back and a fullback, multiple tight ends. That's not going to be the case this year. There will be more motion, there will be more deception, and there will be a lot more plays that benefit the playmakers on this team. And it's not going to be a cookie-cutter offense where it's you got to do this the exact same way that I said and wrote it on paper. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be very different than we saw with Jason Garrett, with Kevin Gilbride, and what we saw with Pat Shurmur. I think Daboll and Kafka are really going to shake stuff up this year.